what happened in the first half of the Bahrain Grand Prix weekend. First of all, XRS first weekend. I just want your thoughts, because it has been absolutely mental. We've had 4 insane races, 4 very close battles to the lead. What are your takes as owner, as leader of all of this chaos? What are you thinking?
It's been an incredible reception for a start. We'll touch on the races in just a second, but I've been all throughout the weekend. I've been getting messages from different members and drivers and all stuff, all just with showering with compliments and saying wonderful, lovely things about the league and the place that we built. So to all those people who haven't messaged me, thank you. You've no idea how much that means to me. In terms of the racing, it's just been incredible. It's better than I could ever have thought it would have been. Every division it has a close fight. Every division you can't put one person on as the favourite for the title. Every division,
literally,
you're picking about 6 drivers for the podiums. You know what I mean? Like there's, and that's before you even get the surprise drivers coming in. So it's been incredible start.
I think it's definitely surpassed everyone's expectations of. We started bringing in people, 3 weeks ago? We filled 4 grids. We've had, close racing all across the field, the back, the middle, the front. But we're going to get straight into the action right now. We're going to start with Div 4. It was the Thursday weekend. And let's just say that Ferrari's heart was in their mouth. The first spin of the league, and it was Vlad on his in-lap after quali, but he did manage to stop it from hitting the wall. But at the end of quali, it was a battle to the line between the McLarens and the Williams, with the Williams making it a 1-2 finish, a front row luck out for a team that was the better part of the back we expected. Going into the race, a big brake failure for Alamata, who cut turn 1, clipping one of the Williams. When he rejoined the track, he took out both Liam, who started in 3rd, and the other Williams teammate. They all collided. Through went Dan Tucker and a few of the others. That meant that the front 3 were now at the back, and that just completely mixed up the grid order. About lap 7, there was a crash with Zinc right at the back with the Aston Martin. That brought out the one and only safety car we had this race weekend. And obviously we had a couple pitters on lap 7. That's when you can bring out potentially the mediums, potentially some softs to switch up the strategy. And who benefited most off the restart was Liam. Cut through the field like it was butter. He went from the back to P2 very quickly. Very impressive from the man who a lot of people expected to be really strong in this tier. Difficult start to the race, really strong middle. But then it got a bit messy. That's when it got a bit messy. Ferrari did not pull out the right strategy. So after this chaos of the restart, Dan Tucker was miles ahead. He was a good 4 seconds ahead. And the battle for P2 was Charlie, Vlad and Liam. Very close battling. You can notice Charlie went in for an early stop. Liam followed him. Ferrari kept their drivers out and double stacked 2 laps after the McLaren pitted. That not only brought Vlad 6 seconds behind, undercutted from the people he was battling, and it brought Dan back into the fight, and we then had a battle for the lead with the other Ferrari. Vlad got unlucky, got spun by Alamata, and that pulled him straight to the back of the pack. Then we had a battle for the lead, Dan versus Liam versus Charlie. And right, the final lap of the race where Liam saw an opening to get through, Charlie made a mistake. Turn 1, clipped Liam and ended up spinning Dan, ending his chances to finish on the podium. The winner was Liam. We had a P2, excellent drive by Pistol Pia, keeping those hards running as he didn't pit under the safety car. And then we had Charlie in P3. Williams podium, very, very strong. We're going to go straight on to our winners and losers of the race. My driver winner, I've got to say, Liam. I think that to start at the front, to get caught up in that lap 1 incident and then fight his way back through with the safety car and ended up winning the race, insane performance. What about you?
Liam is a very good shout. And the only person who I thought was slightly more enjoyed watching the race was Charlie. Not because he was a surprise. I think going into the weekend, Liam was one of the names in the list of everyone's minds of who's going to be probably fighting at the front here. There was Liam, there was Vlad, there was Dan, there was these kind of drivers. But I think no one really said Charlie. I didn't really hear anyone saying that, and he was up there at the front row in quali, second in the race. I think, he's my personal winner today.
Yeah, fair enough. However, we've got to have a driver loser. Who was your loser? Who did you think just didn't click, didn't put the dots together?
It has to be Moors for me. It has to be Moors. Another race in a string of unfortunate events for Moors. He's several times I've seen over previous seasons and other races. He just seems to be struggling to get that car over the final finish line. And it was Schumacher who said, "To finish first, you have to finish." And I think Moors needs to live by that philosophy a little bit more.
My one, I can't lie, Dan. It was frustrating to watch that race. He was 4 or 5 seconds ahead, and to see Ferrari double stack, bring both of their drivers back, especially Vlad. Vlad got caught by it the worst, but the fact that Dan lost the win, didn't even finish on the podium, it was painful to watch. It was really upsetting for him to lose a big result like that.
For the record, I was not involved with that strategy decision. I was carpooling. I was in an event. I was busy.
Neither was I.
Didn't even know what was
Neither
going
was
on.
I.
I was not attached to the decisions made in that event. We move.
What about your best team? Which team do you think performed the best?
I got to give it to McLaren. Obviously, Liam was the race winner in the end. I said your your personal winner of the weekend. I can't realistically disagree with you more. I said Charlie was just a bit more exciting for me, but yeah, just on the unknown aspect. But for me, Liam was an incredible driver from start to finish. And also Blake, I was a bit more surprised. Obviously, he's on the new input now. He's using the wheel over controller, but he was a real. He was a real threat moving quite away the field. I think it started quite low down in the order and moved its way up, or I think only actually maybe gained a few places. But he was consistent in the race, brought home really good points for McLaren. So for me, they're the winners of Div 4.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that while they weren't close together, working together, they did have two very individual races, but two very good individual races. Liam, obviously, like I said, made his way back up the field. Blake was the one that really surprised me, because when you change an input as big as going onto a wheel, you expect that to be, a big, bit part of improvement to find your pace back. I think Blake's adapted really quickly, and that's really made me happy to see that, because he qualified, I think it was, I want to say 4th or 5th. Did get caught up with a collision with Dan into turn 1. It was just chaos after Alamata lost the brakes. But to climb back up the field like he did, to climb back up the field, he finished P5 as well. To climb back up the field on an input he, I'm assuming, doesn't feel comfortable with, it's I think really good. I think it was really impressive.
I knew there was a recovery in there somewhere from him. You're right. It was just one into the. Yeah, no, it was. He, like I said, they both just impressed, and McLaren scored the most points from Div 4. So yeah, there's no real denying them as the winners.
Yeah, I agree. Who was your team loser? And I have a feeling I know what you're gonna say. It's between two.
It's kind of it has to be Aston Martin for me. 2 DNFs, no points. It's just a weekend to forget. It's not the opening any team wants to see for themselves by any stretch of imagination. Obviously, Div 4 opened the entire league up for the entire season, so it's just not the result you want. I know from a TP perspective, it would be a sinking feeling to see that as the first reflection, shall we say, on how the season might go. It's not a good start, but listen, I'm sure they'll be back. I'm sure they'll bounce back. But for round 1, they didn't put it together.
Yeah, that was the team I was thinking about going. I think that when you have a league which scores points down to 15th, and there was enough drivers in the league for everyone in the race, I should say, where everyone could have scored a point, and Aston Martin still scored 0. It's not great. However, I've not gone for them as my worst team. I have, in fact, gone for the home team. I've gone for Ferrari. I was very upset to watch. It was almost guaranteed 1-2, if not a 1-3, because Vlad was looking very quick in that fight. To fall back, Vlad finished 11th, Dan finished 4th. That is a huge amount of points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and obviously it comes down to the strategy, and it shows the use of an engine, I suppose. And I mean, there's not a finger to blame or anything, but it's unfortunate to see a race that was looking so good go not so great so quickly. Yeah,
that's a very fair point. Very salient. The Astons were never really there to start with, but the Ferraris were. They had everything in their fingertips almost, and it fell through. So yeah, very salient argument. And in Division 3, qualifying there's only really one story that I want to talk about from qualifying, and it is Avi the Cobra. He has finally done it, and he has scored himself a pole position. For 2 seasons of KRL, this man hunted for a pole position. Couple of front rows,
Many
couple
one,
of
yes,
nearlies,
many twos.
couple of many twos, couple of P3s, always kind of knocking on that door. First race of XRS, first race of the season, boom, straight on their pole position, and in the same time winning a bet with me of who would get the first pole position, as I am still without one. So yeah, congratulations to Avi in the qualifying, congratulations on his first pole. This led into an incredible start, as always with Avi. His launches are just rocket ships. He finds phenomenal grip, always gets off the line well. Kept the lead into turn 1, lots of fighting behind. This fighting continued. It was like a 4-way fight between Avi, Matt, Millard, Pink, all the way through for the first 17 laps. Obviously pit stops came into the fight. Dylan and Jace, not the sister team so much in the league, but obviously in real life the sister team of Red Bull and AlphaTauri. It was always interesting to see them two fighting. It's just as a novelty almost. Them two were going wheel to wheel for about 5 laps, 6 laps, just swapping each other DRS. Later on into the race, after the pit stops, obviously Avi and a couple of other drivers had opted to start on the hards. A couple of drivers starting on the medium started to maybe fall back a little bit, who didn't maybe get the chance to utilise their medium tyres for the first half, with it all being so... I mean, the first half was so bunched up that everything just kind of... No one had the space to utilise their mediums. When after pit stops there was undercuts, there was overcuts, and there was fighting going on when the driver was doing an undercut, and there was maybe another driver got a clean undercut, and yeah, there's a bit more gaps opened up. We saw, it was Matt, Avi and Millard maybe break away, and then Ben came through on a set of softs. He cut through about 3 drivers, knocked in the back of Millard. This created a gap for Matt and Avi to pull away. Matt was someone who was just the entire race completely patient and calm, picked his moments, picked his fight, sat with 90 ERS the entire time. He really patiented his way to his podium. Miller was able to, after the break, losing DRS because of the contact from the fighting with Ben, he was able to hold off that massive horde behind him that went down to, it was P6, P7, massive train. He held off P4 for that. Avi, of course, and then finished it through though to win in his spectacular fashion, fighting both Millard off at the start of the race, Matt off in the second half of the race. No one could get past him. Anytime someone did, he just took the position straight back again in the next DRS zone. It was patient, it was measured, it was cool. It was a fantastic race to watch as both as a Ferrari TP, but also just as a fan of motor racing. It was from all the way up and down the grid, it was fighting. But big special mentions to Avi and to Matt as well, who are both phenomenal drivers. And of course, it was CGM Glass as well, was the third man on the podium. He surprised after a bit of a late recovery, keeping it clean, no track limit penalties, no speeding and pit lane penalties. They got him promoted. It was, I think, 5th on track, and he got to the final podium spot with a promoted through penalties. And just an incredible race start to finish.
Yeah, true. We head on to the driver winner, driver loser. I'm interested to see who you put for the driver winner.
For the driver winner, I have to go Mr. Avinash. Yes, he is my driver. Yes, he's a very good friend of mine. Obviously, we are co-hosts of XRS Plus, but it was undeniable for me. It was, I can hear him flexing in the background. He's loving life right now. But it's a pole position, ways to win on a track he's not that comfortable with. Fought really hard, really valiantly. There was cleanly as well. There wasn't really, I don't think anyone reported him for any. Oh no, there was one contact with Millard that the stewards deemed no further action was needed on that one. So they were just a clean, aggressive at times, but patient at others, and just a really, really clean result for him. He has to be my driver winner.
I'm very glad. I haven't gone for me. Obviously, my view of the race is a lot more limited because I was fighting 3 people the whole race. CJM Glass, where did he come from? Because I found out after the race that Millard had damage, and he did level off the pace, and I do feel for him in that kind of aspect.
Yeah.
I saw he was battling Pink And I know that Benegru went to the softs because I kept an eye on him. He was closing in.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was more on an aggressive strategy for the second stint, especially. CGM Glass came out of nowhere. I didn't even know there was an Aston with them.
For real.
So he must have had a really good comeback drive to be able to get into that fight through. Get careful with the penalties, not get any penalties. Jump to a podium. You know what I mean? Like from my view of the race, there was just 4 of us: me, Pink, Matt, and Millard. He beat 2 of them. So I think that's a huge result. It's a great, and also for Aston Martin, very big result.
Is he not Alpha? Is he not Alfa Romeo?
Now Aston Martin, CGM Glass.
Was it?
He was Alfa Romeo and
He
KRL.
was reserving. He was reserving, wasn't he? He was reserving. That's
He was
good.
reserving an Aston Martin. You're correct. Yeah.
That's an incredible steal from Aston there. Especially after a struggle at Div 4, that's a nice bounce back for the team principal.
Yeah, true. Who is your driver loser? It's a bit of a stinger one.
This one's gonna really hurt. And it's my other favourite boy. It is Baze. Oh, what a heartbreaking weekend for that man. I know obviously he's one of my closest friends. I know going in Bahrain's not one of his favourites, not one of his all times, but yeah, I mean, couldn't get it quite put together in quali. Didn't work out in the race. Early wing damage, no real chance to recover with no safety car. Yeah, it was disappointing to say the least for Baze.
Yeah. I've gone for someone else. I have gone for the guy who, I mean, I'll openly say he would have been in the contention for winning had it not been for this unlucky moment. I wouldn't say Millard. I think that damage has cost him. I think that he did very well to hold back the people and not lose more than he did. But I think he finished P5 in the end. It's just not telling of his performance because it was better than a P5. It doesn't do it justice. I feel for him. I think he got the damage off me actually from rear-ending me, which actually because it slowed us down. Yeah. So it was on our out lap, and he rear-ended me, and it got him undercut by Matt because he slowed us down. I got past.
Yeah.
So it was like a double whammy there. But yeah, I feel for him. He could have been better. Who is your team winner? We'll go a bit more positive. Who's your team winner?
I'm going to give it to AlphaTauri. I thought both drivers did really well. Matt impressed me a lot. Very patient, very measured, proving that you don't need to be the fastest in raw pace to get really good results. He wasn't at the very front in quali. He was up there. It wasn't up there, but he was. I think it's like P3, and just measured the entire time. Even in the stints, he wasn't looking the quickest on track. He kind of just sat back and spectated the fighting almost. It was a very smart drive from Matt, and it secured him just a big load of points and a very, very successful P2. So and Jace as well, he started I think 12th, didn't he, and got up to 7th. So it was just a very respectable recovery from him. And I think Tauri may have scored the most points that weekend. I'm not too sure, but they certainly had a good weekend.
Yeah, I come for AlphaTauri as well. I think that in a tier which has such close racing, there wasn't actually many teams that were close together. But it's very similar to what I said about Div 4. I think that both drivers just had good individual races. I think that from my perspective, Matt was always a threat. I was battling, for the first stint, I was battling Mill at the front. I could feel the heat from Matt behind. I knew he was on almost full battery. So I knew if he wanted to pounce, he would cost me a lot of time to Mill. So I was I was playing almost like as his puppet. I was thinking if he wants to do something, he can. In terms of Jace, very good improvement. You know, starting in the midfield isn't always the easiest and most comforting thing, especially when you have such a heavy braking zone for turn 1. You're always worried about your wing getting spun and stuff. Seems like a very confident drive to be able to get up to as high as he did. AlphaTauri scored equal points actually to Ferrari, won equal points to the constructors, which is I think very strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
The question is though, who is your team loser? I'm going to enjoy this one, and there is two people actually watching this stream who already know who I've picked, but I'm going to let you go first.
I'm going to go for Williams on this one.
Okay.
P8 and P11, it was a bit underwhelming. No, 11th and 9th and 7th in quali. So they were 11th and 7th in quali. So they had the opportunity as well to recover. And the driver who finished 11th started in 7th. So that was Isaac. He did get the fastest lap at the end, but yeah, for me it was just a bit of a disappointing one. I think every team was in the top 10 apart from Williams and Alpine, who didn't field the car.
I've gone for my team loser, and I'm gonna leave forward for this one. Because I know you know who you are, Mr. Five Wise. You might not know this, Mr. Raven. What happened in the McLaren garage while we were vibing in Ferrari? Millard was unable to set a final lap because Kinnan blocked him in the pits, so he couldn't get out of the garage to get a final lap, which allowed me to get pole. And Mill felt there was time in his lap. And also, so you know when you're preparing your setup, obviously Mill, good TP, McLaren, high team, prepared how much fuel you should run in the car. Five Wise thought that +7, for example, didn't mean +7 from where the game sets you, +7 from the amount of laps there is in. So he ran out of fuel, lost 2 positions and a good amount of points for just not understanding the setup. It's just silly mistakes. And I think it's
I remember the
for a driver.
I remember running out of fuel at the end as well. It was and just slowly trundling across the start finish line. It was a very disappointing way to end the race. And even not to manage it, because he would have got some sort of indication either from, well, he should have got one from maybe his team, but he certainly got one from inside the cockpit, or some sort of indication of his fuel level. So more management would have been needed there as well. It could have also been avoided.
I think for a driver like Five Wise, who, you know, he's a good driver, he's a consistent driver, he can fight at the front if he needs to. He was actively publicly fought over by a couple teams, and I know it's not intentional, but to not only make a mistake for your race, but also make a mistake for your teammates, your first race in the new team, is not really what you're going to be wanting to do. So I think it's just it's an unlucky one.
Tough way to start. Real tough way to start your new career in your new team. Really tough. But he'll be back. But yeah, I gotta agree with you there.